The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all. Tonight, we're reviewing Sports Night.
We're reviewing Sports Night,
the television show.
The television show called Sports Night.
Which is about a sports show.
A sports show that is also called Sports Night.
But it actually isn't about sports.
It's about people.
People who talk.
People who talk about talking.
While talking.
About whether they should still be talking.
It's a fast dialogue.
Fast dialogue.
Smart dialogue.
Smart dialogue.
Repeated dialogue.
Repeated dialogue.
Repeated so you know it's intentional.
Intentional repetition.
Intentional repetition of smart dialogue.
Fast, smart, intentional repetition.
Someone says a thing.
Someone repeats a thing.
Someone clarifies the thing.
Someone re-clarifies the clarification.
Someone explains why the clarification matters.
Someone explains that they already understood the clarification.
Someone explains why understanding it doesn't mean you're done talking about it.
Someone explains why that explanation was necessary.
Nothing has happened.
Nothing has happened.
We are still in the intro.
We are aggressively still in the intro.
This is the style?
This is the style.
This is the joke.
This is the joke.
We are committing to the joke.
We are actually overcommitting to the joke.
Because if we stop...
there's no momentum.
And if there's no momentum...
there's no importance.
And if it's not important...
why are we here?
So tonight... we review Sports Night.
We review Sports Night.
By doing Sports Night.
By draining Sports Night of oxygen.
I'm Mark.
We know.
I just needed to say it again.
Of course you did.
Now the show can start.
Now the show can start.
TV party tonight. TV party tonight. We're firing up the TV party party tonight. All right, all right, all right. Screens light up, brains shut down. Talking trash about the best shows in town. No homework, no disguise. Just hot takes on the studio line. Sit down, lock in, hit play. Let the noise begin. Lock in another episode, another spin. No ratings, no mercy, no skipping the commercials of culture. TV party tonight. TV party tonight. Same screen, same fight, same damn podcast tonight. All right.
All those stories right here on TVPT. Plus, the Steelers get stomped. The Bears battle back. The Bills bend but don't break, and playoff football proves once again that pressure changes everything. Don't miss our special segment where Dwayne and Chris educate our listeners on just what exactly a push is. But now for a story that exists entirely in the realm of podcast logic and questionable judgment, we send it back to Mark Radulich, joined by our special guest who's celebrating a birthday today, who also has breaking news in the investigation of the so-called curb stomp killer, Seth Rollins. Tonight, we're trading highlights for hallway conversations. Back to our deep dive into Sports Night Season 1. How you go right ahead, Mark.
That's a bingo.
Plenty of references to go around in that one.
That's good, Jesse. That was fucking brilliant, actually. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is TV Party Tonight. I am your mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich. That guy doing the funny stuff over there, that's Jesse. And down here, he's the doctor of style. They call him Slick, but you can call him birthday boy, Reverend Dr. Gavin LMT. Back on the show. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How do you do?
Doing well. How are you tonight, Mark?
Oh, we are full of cheer. That's what we are. So we're talking Sports Night, season 1. As we all know, Sports Night is an American comedy drama television series about a fictional sports news show called Sports Night. It focuses on repetition of dialogue. No, it focuses on the friendships, pitfalls, and ethical issues the creative talent of the program face while trying to produce a good show under constant network pressure. Created by Dialogue's biggest monster, Aaron Sorkin, and produced by Imagine Television and Touchstone Television, the half-hour primetime comedy drama aired on ABC for 2 seasons, from September 22nd, 1998 to May 16th, 2000. Gavin, this was one of your requests from like way the hell back when.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about, I think this is one of those situations where this is about the time that I was asking everybody for their wish list for things for us to review. This was high up on yours, and we're finally getting to it because, again, I've been trying to dedicate a little bit of the time in the schedule to all things Aaron Sorkin. So why this show in particular?
I think it's an interesting rabbit trail for Sorkin. So many of the things that he does are the dialogue-heavy dramas that have little moments of levity or humor in them, like The West Wing. But when you look at Sports Night, it's a fairly unique concept. You don't get a lot of TV shows about shows to this level. Certainly, you look at something like Home Improvement, where Tim the Toolman Taylor's television show is kind of a backdrop for everything else that goes on. But the world of Sports Night is Sports Night. And I feel pretty comfortable saying that as 22-minute sitcoms go, this series absolutely has the most words per capita per episode. The dialogue is incessant. There are no beats where you let things just hang, but that's typical of Sorkin. And I think with this, we see that it does work in a half-hour comedy setting, but it also doesn't work in a half-hour comedy setting. And so much of what Sorkin has done has been so universally praised. And I like Sports Night. I enjoy it. I know its ratings across Metacritic and IMDb are pretty solid, but I also recognize that it does expose some flaws in the Sorkin process.
I don't want to spend too long on it. God knows we spent 7 months on it. But I would like to just do a very quick, for you in particular, compare and contrast. If you, in fact, watched The West Wing. Did you, in fact, watch The West Wing?
The first 3 seasons.
Okay, so the heavily involved Sorkin seasons. What is the biggest change, you think, in how, besides the fact that one was a comedy and the other one was a drama, how Sorkin presented Sports Night from how he presented The West Wing? And they're almost contemporaneous. Jesse and I talked about this on Sunday when we were discussing White House Plumbers. They both came out around the same time, but Sports Night, I think, preceded it by a year.
Yeah, Sports Night was 99 and 2000, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
To me, and I think you can even see it over the 2 seasons, and really even over the first season in Sports Night, because the look and the feel of the show in episodes 1, 2, and 3 are very different than what you see in the final episodes of the season, just in the way that it's shot. I think Sorkin was using that tracking shot a lot more on Sports Night, and I don't think it fit the tone of the 22-minute comedy quite as much as it fit the dramas.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, while there are similarities, I think it was more realizing that his typical approach to things didn't work for a comedy.
Okay. Let me switch over to you, Jesse. Once again, had you ever watched Sports Night before? Did you know of it? Are you just here because I forced you to be here?
I had heard about this show, but never watched it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is my first watch of the show. So yeah, I can see like the genesis of what we kind of get in The West Wing here. Like there's a lot of elements. Obviously, it's Sorkin and what we get in The West Wing. There's a lot of similarities and parallels you can draw as to how it's shot and the dialogue, things like that. That's just typical Sorkin all over. But yeah, as far as the show goes, I've heard of it, but I've never sat down and watched it until now.
I have always wanted to watch Sports Night. I think before I was super familiar with Aaron Sorkin's material, I had heard Sports Night in its time. And again, I didn't watch The West Wing, so I didn't have a comparison at the time. But I had remembered catching a little bit of Sports Night and hearing from everybody. It was like this really rapid fire 22-minute comedy about the breakneck speed in which a sports commentary show is produced. And I was really interested in that. For whatever reason, I did not watch it contemporaneously beyond the little bit that I just said. So this has been on my wish list to talk about for a while. And I was really glad that you had been like, yeah, I really want to talk about this with you, because it forced me to sit down and watch it when I otherwise wouldn't have. The first thing I want to get into, and we've kind of already touched on it. I just want to get this out of the way, because if we don't talk about it, everyone would wonder why we didn't. And that is the compressed rapid fire pace of the dialogue and the incessant repetition. If you cut out a character reacting to the first character by repeating exactly verbatim what the first character said, the show would be 10 minutes. Gavin, I love you like a brother. God bless you, my son. This is not a bad show. But that particular style, that particular dialogue trick, on more than one occasion, made me want to eat a lead sandwich. Your thoughts?
I get it. Like I said, there are flaws. Overall, good show, but there are flaws. And it feels like Sorkin started to realize that, and it did kind of ease back from it later in the season. But yeah, the first half of season 1 really leans on that. And I get it. You're trying to find your style. You're trying to find the voice of the show. And, credit to him for realizing that voice was not one that was going to work long term. And making some adjustments. Now, I don't know that this was a show that was ever going to be a mega hit that got renewed for 5-6 seasons. Mm-hmm. I think, again, that type of fast-paced dialogue is going to work much better in an hour-long drama, where even at a faster pace, it still has a chance to breathe. I think this was too much in a 22-minute sitcom. And even though it's very different styles of dialogue and comedy, it kind of reminds me of Community, in that your general audience isn't smart enough to keep up with that show. And so it's never going to be the ratings winner, and it's never going to be something that is ever off the bubble of being canceled. It's going to have to fight for its life at the end of every season.
I don't, Jesse, think that the dialogue style added anything to this show beyond this one critical point, and I'm going to link it to the next thing I do want to talk about. Now, I'm not the normal when it comes to this sort of thing. I like a nice procedural workplace drama about the production of a movie or television. That's a niche within a niche. Shows like The Offer, which was about the making of The Godfather. I love that show. I don't think it did well, because a lot of people are like into movies. They obviously like they like The Godfather. Are they into a show about the making of The Godfather and all of like what had to happen in order for that movie to be produced? About what it is to be a movie producer and all that entails. I would imagine not. I would imagine, like, again, like film people like it, and that's about it. Same thing with producing a television show. I think, Gavin's point that Home Improvement, you only got a little bit of that, and you basically just got the segments that Tim was in. That you did not go into the writer's room with them. You did not, go into how segments are built. Now, I've been running a podcast for the last 15 to 20 years, and like I've used that language. Like when we do Metal Hammer of Doom, like we do segments, bits, and I use the language of television production.
I don't think a lot of people are really into that sort of thing. So when I watch Sports Night, the rapid fire compressed dialogue works well only when they're talking about making the show. When it's Joshua Malina chasing, what is it, Deborah Lloyd? What the fuck's her name? Sabrina Lloyd around going, I broke up with you. No, you didn't. I don't accept that. And they're doing it? Or, Dan and Casey repeating back to each other what the other one just said in an infinite loop about dating and relationships. Did I mention the lead sandwich?
I've got to ask a question. Do you guys know?
I asked you a question.
No, damn it. Let me ask a question.
All right.
Does anyone
my question with a question?
Does anybody in real life talk like this?
No, that's my point, Jesse. Thank you. You got to where I was trying to get you to. Yes, they talk that way when they're trying to make a show, or there's a high intensity, like if you watch a House of Dynamite, kind of the same thing. There's a lot of technical, precise, repeated, compressed dialogue.
Because you've got to do that because the plot or whatever.
There's a missile heading towards Chicago. Right. Yes, we have to talk about it.
Okay.
But I'm not walking into the room with Erica and doing a back. Did you take apart the bed frame? Yeah, I took apart the bed frame. The bed frame? Yes, the bed frame. Because we have a new bed frame that's being delivered. A new bed frame that's being delivered? Yes, a new bed frame that's being delivered. Why? Because you Yokozuna fucking bonsai dropped on the bed? No, you asshole, I didn't bonsai drop on the bed. Who the fuck is Yokozuna? I'm not saying that's a real conversation that happened. Okay. Your thoughts, sir?
I saw Gavin put his hand up there. He had something to interject. What were you going to say, Gavin?
I think like many Aaron Sorkin, and even if you go into other similarly verbose writers like Kevin Smith for Clerks and so on, it is a very idealized version of what people think they sound like, and
it's
what
Shakespearean in that sense.
What their witty repartee between friends feels like to friends. It is an idealized version of that. And also, I think it's worth noting whenever we go back and watch this show was 27 years old.
Yeah.
This is akin to watching I Love Lucy in 1990 and critiquing the way the show was put together. We can acknowledge the warts, but also this was an era without smartphones. This is the dark ages comparatively.
Yeah.
So again, valid criticisms of the dialogue, and it's not something that works now, but it was brand new in 1999.
True. That's very true.
It was a very new style of approaching dialogue on a show 27 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a valid point. Jesse, I threw a lot at you, and then you completely deflected to Gavin. You're not getting away from me. Your thoughts on what I threw out there, where it works and where it doesn't work, the dialogue.
Yeah, it did take me out a few times, and I think a lot of it was just because I recognized it as, okay, hey, Sorkin's doing his thing here. So when I could attribute it to, like, I'm not normally seeing this in other stuff that I'm watching. So it didn't make my eyes glaze over or anything like that. I was just like, okay, he's doing what he's normally known for doing here. And this is early representations of it, which is, I kind of respect that. Gavin made a great point that this is, in the 90s, this is novel. This is something new. And, you're throwing stuff out there to see if people hang on to it. And he liked that sort of dialogue, and that's why it carried on into the West Wing. But yeah, I mean, I didn't hate it, but I also was like, well, it's Sorkin.
Not since Sam and Diane from Cheers have I been so gripped by a will they, won't they romance that don't. I mean, other than maybe the end of Pacific Rim, have I seen such vivid, tense, sweaty, sexual chemistry between a man and a woman who then don't fuck at the end. Holy cow. Casey and
Dana.
Man, it's Ted McGinley who plays Gordon, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Every time, like, after, I think by the time they get to the bit where Dana is a busy businesswoman who don't need no man, and she's married to the show, and Gordon's like, I'm going to need you to divorce yourself from the show for a little while and actually be a partner in this partnership, this relationship we have got going on. And Dana says, why would you ask that of me? I'm a woman in the 20th century. What's wrong with you? And I'm thinking, well, surely here is the breaking point. Surely here is where Dana and Casey are going to get together, and Casey is going to break up with the She-Hulk, who is Sally. My God, she's 20 feet tall.
Legs go all the way down to there.
Yeah, her legs go all the way up to her neck. So I'm like, okay, here it is. We're finally gonna get the catharsis that we need. Dana and Casey, and then Dana gets back together with Gordon, and then at the end, I tell you, there's a lot of brilliant. As much as I complained about the dialogue, there were some brilliant exchanges when people are acting like human beings, and the drama is as thick as a Subway sandwich. When Casey, I am going somewhere with this. When Casey confronts Gordon and he just says, "You're wearing my shirt," I'm like, oh,
that's good stuff.
Heavens to Betsy.
Right.
And then we do nothing about it for the next 20 episodes, and then finally Dana finds out about it. There's something else I want to talk about, but I want to give you guys a chance to break in here. Like, the stuff with Dana and Casey is so good, and they really make you wait for it, and then they don't deliver it. By the end of season 1, Casey and Dana are still not together. And for not the Robert Guillaume bit at the end where he kind of shows up and breaks the tension when Dana's having a meltdown, I really would have left season 1 very unfulfilled. But it's like, okay, well, they're coming back for a second season, so maybe they'll do more of this. I don't know. I haven't seen it. But I have to say, one of the best things this show does is play with the will they, won't they, Gavin relationship and the sexual tension between Casey and Dana.
The pace of the storytelling between characters is the exact opposite of the pace of the dialogue. For as fast as the dialogue moves,
glacial.
They take their time and they let the characters breathe and grow and evolve, and they have those very human moments. And even within singular episodes, they don't rush the development of the characters. I think that there are moments and there are character arcs within singular episodes that are really, really well done. Maybe, better than I've seen done in the overwhelm. I would say probably 99% of sitcoms. You think about Josh Malina's arc in that 3rd episode where he is just vehemently opposed to hunting.
Yeah.
I mean, that is... and especially for the type of show that this is, I thought that was a really powerful performance on his part.
His line delivery of, I have college loans to pay, I felt that.
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell us, Casey? We would have taken care of you. How the fuck would I know that? I have bills to pay. I'm an adult. Sometimes you have to say yes to the things you want to say no to. And
I think the strength of the show, obviously Sorkin has become a legendary writer, and especially in terms of dialogue. But I think the strength of the show is not just the dialogue, but who's delivering the dialogue. Because in hindsight, I know we didn't realize this in 1999. This is a loaded cast, and the strength of the show is the chemistry they have with one another.
Mm-hmm. I wanted you to speak on. There's something else I want to touch on with the Dana Casey stuff, but I wanted you to jump in on this, Jesse. What did you think of the Dana Casey storyline?
So it got a little, I don't know where I was at with this show. Sometimes I was just like, okay, I'm really invested in some of these relationships. And then sometimes it's just like, kind of like what you were saying, like, okay, let's do something about this. Can we move this forward just a little bit further?
Glacial.
Yeah, it was, and that kind of took me out. Dana was completely blind. Like, to have oh my goodness, what is her name? Natalie. Be the one to constantly remind her that you are in love with this guy. You are in love with this guy. And it's not like she's just kind of like, hey, you're in love with this guy. I mean, she is like up front in Dana's face. You're in love with Casey. You're in love with Casey. And she just continued to deny it and deny it, almost to a fault where you're just like, my goodness, what is wrong with this girl? It kind of grated on me just a little bit. But I will tell you that it's perfect, like kind of setting for getting you ready, just kind of like what you were saying for season 2. As soon as we finished season 1, the wife was like, we've got to go on, right? And I'm like, got to do a podcast on it first. Sorry. she did not like us stopping in order to find out what the relationship status was going to be between Casey and Dana. So
quick pause here. Most normal thing I've ever made you watch, according to Mindy?
Very well, possibly.
No talking dicks. No.
She's not pining for the corner. You know, she's doing fine.
Okay,
she liked it.
I'm glad you liked this one. What I wanted to touch on was I like that nobody here is an overt villain, and everything here is complex as human relationships tend to be. And no better exchange of dialogue sums that up than when Dana confronts Sally about sleeping not only with Gordon, but with Casey. Because the subtext to that is, as Gordon points out, they were on a break, as famously said in Friends, and she has no right to tell Casey who he can sleep with and who he can't, nor does she have any, right to tell Sally who she can sleep with and who she can't. So Dana is clearly intimidated by Sally. There's a lot of territorialism. There's a lot of competition. There's just the natural competition of women, but they're both actually vying for the same roles in the company, and they're clearly vying for the same men. And Dana doesn't know what to do with all of that complex psychological energy. And I don't know if you've ever found yourself in a position of knowing exactly where your boundaries are and what your limitations are, and wanting to do more, wanting to be more forceful, wanting to bend someone to your will, and you just can't because you're a mature adult and you know better.
Right.
And so you are kind of in a box where every direction you take, you hit a wall. Your thoughts, Gavin?
Yeah, I thought that scene was really, really well done. I mean, it makes sense that Dana would be intimidated. There are NBA players that would be intimidated. All joking aside, though, I thought Brenda Strong played that role very well. She was very believable in the role as someone that was ambitious and was going to go after the things that she wanted, whether it be a job or a human being or what have you. I thought Felicity Huffman's delivery on that, and especially when she broke and said, "You're right," just a remarkably well done scene. And again, those moments that we see throughout the show, whether it's Josh Charles apologizing in episode 2. And that was the episode that originally hooked me when I discovered this show. I stumbled onto it on Comedy Central late night while I was in school in Asheville, North Carolina. And that episode hooked me, and I ended up watching like 7 episodes in a row that night. Or the stuff where Natalie is assaulted in the locker room. They handle those serious moments very, very well. And it is a nice contrast to the very fast-paced, dramatic stuff, because in those moments, it is the rare 1% of time on the show where they do stop and let things breathe and let things hang for just a moment and have a real human conversation, not reciting Aaron Sorkin dialogue at one another. Recognizing those boundaries in someone else and seeing it played out on television can be tough for some people to stomach, because most people watch television as an escape. They don't want to see themselves on the show. They want to laugh at something, or they want to live vicariously through something. They don't want to see their own flaws mirrored back at them from the television screen. And so again, one of those things working against a show like Sports Night from ever becoming a major mainstream hit.
The line that Sally delivers broke my heart.
Casey doesn't like me very much.
Yeah. The tacit admission that you are willing to have sex with somebody who doesn't actually like you.
Yeah.
That I was like, wow. You know, for all the crap, Jesse, that Aaron Sorkin gets about his writing or about his agenda-driven shows and whatnot, and wait till you get to the newsroom, he does understand human emotion and psychology in a way that I think definitely escapes 2026 Hollywood, probably 2000 Hollywood. Your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of heart in the show, a lot of heart in what he has put out there. You guys, it's funny because I made a list of some of my favorite moments, and you guys hit like about half of them just in those discussions right there, because the human conversations that people have in this show are what makes it, I think, lasting. Gavin said it pretty well there about how, like, if there's a lot of heart to it and a lot of realism, and I think that might be one of the things that I had a hard time watching this was the tone, because it was so serious some points, and then it was shooting for, like, a comedy. This would have worked so much better as the West Wing type drama with comedy kind of sprinkled in, and no laugh track.
Okay. You got there before I did. I'm just going to stick with you for a minute. We don't have to spend too long on this. You absolutely think the laugh track, which you can barely hear, by the way. You guys were talking about it before I started watching the show. I had to quick do a run through in the last 2 or 3 days. So you had started it before I did, and you're talking about this laugh track, and I'm thinking it's like The Big Bang Theory. Where the laugh track is very prominent and is stitched throughout. It is nonstop. It is like score in a Chris Nolan movie. And then I listened to it, and you can barely hear the laugh track, and half the time it just goes away. The laugh track isn't a laugh track. It's the guys on studio. It's cameramen laughing. That's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah. I think what bothered me the most was the fact that it was there. And so I was expecting anytime there should be a comedic beat. There was one moment that stands out perfect where I can't remember who's in the room with Isaac, but they deliver something, some type of line is delivered, and Isaac face palms. All right. He's just pretty much like this. He leans back in his chair.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I'm like, there should be just raucous laughter, because number one, he delivered it perfectly, and there wasn't anything there. And that, for some reason, took me out of the show. Like, I'm sitting there going, like, and then, a few minutes later, somebody will make one small comment, and somebody pushes a button, and there's a small laugh, and I'm just like, don't even do that.
You ever see the Family Guy thing where they have this ostrich? I think it is. Ha!
I can't say that I have, but my goodness, if it's anything.
But 2.5 Men was taped before a live studio ostrich. It's like, hey, I want to give you my little black book, and he drops like a phone book in front of him, and it just cuts to the ostrich.
Perfect. And I can tell that they started to get away from it towards the end of the season. I don't know. I mean, Gavin, you might know better than I do, but was there a conscious effort for them to go like, okay, this needs to be reduced?
I honestly don't know, and I would really be curious to know if the laugh track was a Sorkin decision or a network decision.
Right. Yeah. I noticed that one of these episodes, I think it was episode 15, was like a direct continuation of Spin City.
Remember crossovers on television shows?
Believe it or not. But yeah, Spin City. Now I've seen a few episodes of that. I feel like there's a heavy laugh track in that, if I remember correctly. But anyway, so yeah, I could see it being a network decision for sure. But yeah, it took me out just because I was half expecting it sometimes and it wasn't there. And then all of a sudden when it was there, it made me mad.
Gavin, your thoughts on the laugh track?
Definitely not needed. And I think it gives the show, I think it further confuses the tone of the show.
It feels like a studio note. Like Aaron Sorkin pitched a sitcom. Sitcoms have laugh tracks. And Aaron Sorkin's like, well, not mine, you slop artist. And the studio's like, what part of motherfucker? What part of sitcoms have laugh tracks? Have you seen 2.5 Men? There's a live. Never mind. And Aaron Sorkin's like, sure. You know what I mean?
What's much more appealing to me is the horror of the idea of actually filming an Aaron Sorkin show in front of a live studio audience.
Right.
Somebody just fucking loses their mind. Someone like me loses their mind. Shut up! Like, I had hair before I came in to see this live studio taping.
There were thoughts that I had, just like what you're talking about there, where I was watching the walk and talk happen, and I'm like, what is it like sitting in the audience watching something like this?
Come back!
Where are they going?
It's like a fucking last man stand, last man standing match, or pinfalls count anywhere match where like they leave the fucking ring and just go fuck off somewhere in the arena, and you're like, I paid fucking money for these front row seats. What the fuck? Come back, Rey Mysterio.
Please. Right. Yeah, I wondered about that too. Yeah, it would be challenging at the very least.
It'd be a war crime, is what it would be.
Yeah.
Let me stick with you, Gavin, unless you have more to say about the laugh track. It's funny. I nodded off for a couple episodes, and I woke up, and it was in the aftermath of the building being threatened, being bombed. So I didn't watch that episode, but I saw all the stuff afterwards with Casey. Boy, remember when attacking the religious right in this country was a thing? He fucking name dropped Jerry Falwell, and I was like, who? Oh, him! My God, we're so far past that now.
Yeah, good old Liberty University Jerry Falwell.
Yes. How did you feel as far as that kind of a contemporaneous Aaron Sorkin agenda-driven issue, or any other ones that came up through the course of the show? How do you think Aaron Sorkin and the writing team handled it?
I think they handled it well. I mean, obviously, their politics and preferences are on full display. And I know this will probably come as a shock to those who know me. I don't know that you could get much further apart than Aaron Sorkin's politics and mine. But I like his stuff anyway. I like The West Wing. The all-time monologue from the newsroom. I mean, indisputably, one of the greatest pieces of television writing and deliveries that's ever occurred.
Despite it being factually wrong, Robert Winfrey.
It's television. We don't need to be accurate. It's television. And so something like that, while it's not where I would go, it doesn't bother me because it's a television show. I know how they feel about the religious right. I knew how they felt about it then. I know how they feel about it now. I get it. It's fine.
Okay. Jesse, one of the things that you had said when we were doing chat about it, you mentioned Robert Guillaume. I love Robert Guillaume. I remember Benson. I've actually had to tell my kids about Benson because Robert Guillaume showed up in something else we saw recently.
Soap?
And my
you watching
son,
episodes of Soap?
No. And my son was like, is that Bill Cosby? And I'm like, fuck no, there's more than one old black guy. And I'm like, this guy was a contemporary of Bill Cosby. He was on a show called Benson. And then I started doing the theme. Anyway, it was nice to see Robert Guillaume, very talented actor, show up in this. He actually reminds me of one of my therapy clients for a variety of reasons. But he has a stroke towards the end of the season. Then he comes back, and it's a big reunion. As I said before, it cuts the tension in the final scene of the last episode of season 1, and where Dana's about to fucking have a stroke, her own stroke. What did you think of the Robert Guillaume stuff and how the stroke storyline was handled?
Solid. Well, I mean, as far as his acting, solid as always. I think he's
every time someone goes to talk to him, it's like, I'm going to start drinking now. And I was like, in 20 years, that's going to be really problematic, but that's funny right now.
I feel like anytime he was on the screen. It was a strong presence.
Mm.
He was kind of like the anchor, for the show a little bit. It seems like a lot of people liked taking their problems to him, and just like you said, he would
He was the
dismiss
dad
them.
figure.
Yeah, he would dismiss them in some way, but then he was the guy that was very stern and also would let you know, okay, hey, think this through. What exactly he would give them advice. Now, yeah, as far as the stroke thing goes, so I was. I don't know what I was looking up, but I had found, I was probably looking at the wiki or something about the shows. And I had seen where he did have a stroke in early 99. So I was not all the way through, like I'd say about halfway through the show, or halfway through the series. So I was telling Mindy, I was like, yeah, at some point he has a stroke. And then, so you're now consciously watching for his absence. Like I'm waiting for him not to be on the show. And I noticed a couple episodes go by. And there was one moment where somebody sat in his seat at the table and Dana says, hey, you don't sit in his seat. We all know that. And the guy gets up and he gets out of the seat. And I knew right then, I was like, that's clearly a nod to what's happening with him off screen, where he, at that point, he has probably had his stroke. Cause I think that episode aired in March. He had his stroke in July or January of 99. So yeah, but I don't know if they addressed it during contemporaneously while the show was airing. I don't remember them addressing something like that in the show itself at the beginning, hey, our thoughts are with, Robert or whatever. But if you were aware of that, and I don't know if you would have been back in 98, his return in the finale is great. Like when he shows up and he's, he comes back and he's got the cane and it's good to see him on screen again, because there is a real sense like, oh my goodness, he had a stroke. How bad was it? Will he be able to act again? Because he's a great actor. So yeah, I mean, the way that they handled it, kind of actually bringing it and forward plot wise and using it as part of the show, I think again was a good idea. It was handled well, and it was good to see him back. So,
Gavin, your thoughts on Robert Guillaume, what he added to the show? I think he adds gravitas. I think he definitely adds an air of credibility. Robert Guillaume is a legend in that time period of television. Your thoughts?
Gravitas was the word that was running through my mind. He adds that to a show. And I think there's a couple of ways that he does it. One, just by being Robert Guillaume, like you said, television legend. He is a familiar face and a familiar voice, and much more than a capable actor. Everything he does is well delivered. But I think the other thing that he does, and I think you notice it without thinking about it, I think it registers with you as a viewer without consciously saying, oh, this is what they're doing. When everybody else is talking like this and they're speaking 1,000 miles an hour, and then they got to Isaac, and Isaac speaks slowly and carefully, and he delivers and he enunciates.
Yep.
And it registers. And it gives him that gravitas, because when you're the only person that is slowing down your speech, it makes it heard. And the occasions where he has lengthier monologues, when he is addressing the issue with the Confederate flag at the University of Western Tennessee, it gives him a chance to show off his acting chops. But again, because his delivery is so vastly different than everyone else on the show, it really highlights Robert Guillaume's ability.
Gavin, I don't know if you know this or not. I don't watch television and movies like I used to. I still do, obviously. I still do Damn You Hollywood. I still do Triple Features. But when you and I met 100 years ago back at that boys' school,
Secret Origin,
I was watching a lot more television just for fun and not necessarily for profit. I don't watch a lot of narrative fictional television anymore. I don't have the time. However, I do. That's the reason why I'm bringing this up. I do watch a lot of sports. I've caught almost the entirety of the NFL season this year, good, bad, and ugly. I'm not watching it tonight because I figured I'd actually focus on the show. But I normally be watching basketball right now. We're watching the NBA on Peacock. I've watched college sports. I watched the WNBA.
There's money involved here. So don't try and, sugarcoat it in any way.
Well, I bring all of that up because I was excited to watch this show because I thought they would talk about the politics of sports. Jason Teasley and I have done a handful of movies that talked about the, should we not pay college athletes when we looked at the program, when we looked at oh God.
Well, let's start throwing names out there. Blue chips.
No. It was a football movie that we did on a triple feature during Super Bowl weekend about a year or two ago. And it talked, and that was specifically it. It was talking about a college football player who protests the game and sits out because he demands to be paid, and there was a whole thing.
The Oliphant.
Yeah. So my point is, I was excited to watch Sports Night because I've become an avid sports watcher, and on TikTok, I've actually been doing a lot of commentary about the politics of this and that sport. In a show called Sports Night, other than some funny wordplay, there is very little commentary about the world of sports. Would you agree?
Yeah, really the closest you get is how female reporters are treated by male athletes, which, again, 27 years ago was much more relevant.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, it's...
Yeah, you can't get away from the broads now. They're all over these sports.
The politics of sports is really not involved in season 1 at all.
Mm-hmm. Which I thought was odd, don't you think?
I mean,
this show should have been called Date Night, given what it fucking deals with for the most part.
It's the name of the fictional show, though.
I'm aware of that. I watch the same show as you.
So it's about the TV show, the production, the putting together of everything.
In a show called Sports Night, I thought there would be more plots involving the politics of sports. Is all I'm saying.
I see what you're saying.
Even tangentially, but nope, it's not there.
I mean, okay, so there are, obviously we talked about Robert Guillaume's, his speech about the Confederate flags. That's huge. That's probably that's a pretty big deal.
Less about sports and more about anachronistic symbols of
you said the politics of sports. That's a check mark.
There's a fucking flag on the interstate here in Tampa. That's the Confederate flag. The Confederate flag is in and of itself its own thing. It's really not a sports thing.
All right. But I do say that, and I agree with you. There isn't a whole lot of that. It is all about relationships. That is the core of this show. Is about the relationships of our cast between each other, friendships, and and I at one point I had this titled HR Violation the Show. Because
oh my God, Dan! I can't remember the woman's name with the bob haircut, but Dan in the market analyst.
Oh,
all I kept thinking about is
Rebecca.
Oh, this is aged poorly. If you tried that now, they'd have put you on the X next to Wolverine.
I was like, almost about every other episode, somebody should have ended up in the HR office just because somebody else overheard a conversation they were having.
I can't tell. I don't remember which sketch comedy TV show this was. I don't know if it might have been Saturday Night Live, where they're having the HR talk. And they're like, you can only ask out one female coworker per month or something like that. And the guy's like, can I transfer it? Can I block a bunch? All in 1 month? If she says yes, can I transfer it to the girl I actually want to go out with?
They're like handing out punch cards like you get at Subway or something.
Right.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh boy. Yeah, Gavin, did you want to break in here with any thoughts as to what we're talking about?
I mean, it wasn't quite to the Mad Men levels with Don Draper and Roger Sterling and so on, but it was the 90s version. And as far as the Confederate flag stuff goes and the politics of sports, I may be off a little bit on the timeline, but I think that was around the time they were having those discussions related to the University of South Carolina and Ole Miss. They would continue having those discussions for several years before anything would happen. But again, we know Aaron Sorkin's politics and how he feels about these things, so not terribly surprised.
How close is this to the steroid trials in
A
baseball?
few years after.
You would have thought that there would have been something about that, or like, I don't know, something about a draft here or there. Like, they would mention it fleetingly, but they don't really. The show doesn't comment on sports, which I think is odd.
When it does, it comments on the human element, the triumph of climbing Mount Everest, the political ramifications of a political prisoner breaking a record in a marathon, those types of things. And I wonder,
the bit with the picture from the Orioles, that's a whole part of like Dan's thing with Rebecca.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that is they didn't want to get into real world sports, because then if you want to show them on television, you have to pay licensing fees and have deals with Major League Baseball and the NBA and the NFL, and it turns into a whole thing. So it's easier if they make references to them and never have to show them, but focus actual storylines on these offshoot sports that you can do a mountain climbing scene without having an actual mountain climber. And so
you could have commented on Tyson.
I mean, you could have, but again, that wasn't what Sorkin wanted to do with the show. Sports was a vague backdrop for a show about a show.
Let's talk about Dan and Casey's relationship, Gavin. I'll stay with you for a moment. I happened to mention at the top of the show that not since Cheers have I seen such sexual tension between a man and a woman, referring to Casey and Dana, except for Dan and Casey, because Dan loves Casey. Oh my God. Dan wanted to get inside Casey's skin if he could. And Casey's like, I just like you as a friend. Please get off me. And Dan spends most of the season pursuing Casey like a rabbit. For God's sake, Casey could have been Me Too'd, because Dan pursued him so much until Casey finally rebuffed Dan enough, and then Dan was heartbroken for those few episodes. Do you remember this? Dan was heartbroken that he was rebuffed by Casey, and that's when he turned his eyes to harassing Rebecca. That's how I remember the show, is that Dan loves the fuck out of Casey, and Casey's like, dude, this is a job. I hate my ex-wife. I'm trying to parent my son. Please get off my penis. Your thoughts?
This was my introduction to both Peter Krause and Josh Charles. This is the first thing I saw either one of them in. Peter Krause is one of my favorite television actors of the modern generation. He's been in some really ridiculous shows like Dirty Sexy Money and 911, but I like Peter Krause. I thought his turn as the lead on Parenthood was tremendous. And I thought he did a good job here. For somebody that's relatively unknown to come in and handle Sorkin dialogue the way that Peter Krause and Josh Charles did as Dan and Casey, I thought they did very well. It comes across as two very close friends that know each other very well. And again, a very idealized version of the dynamic. It puts me in the mind of Randall and Dante in Clerks. Not as antagonistic towards each other, but the way they're written to just consistently feed off of one another back and forth. I enjoyed their dynamic, and it was one of the things that pulled me into the show initially.
Let me interject here. Despite my assertions of gay innuendo between the two of them, it's nice to see men acting like men.
Yeah.
Because again, 30 years ago, that used to be a thing. It wasn't abnormal to see the two of them act the way they were. No, if we were doing the show back then, we wouldn't be calling it out. But there's such an absence of it now. It was nice to go back and see this is how men talk to each other. Yeah. They will also proudly walk naked, proudly walk pantsless through a studio, not once but twice.
Well, it's the spots that make the outfit.
Agreed. Yes, continue.
But to your point, it's men acting like men and talking to each other like men, both in the back and forth, being on each other's side, calling each other out, criticizing one another, being angry with each other, and immediately acknowledging that you're angry with one another, without being overloaded on testosterone and butting up against each other like a couple of bulls vying for the top mare in the field. They were men acting like men.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that was one of the things that made the show so easy to watch, was you had two people that, yes, they were talking too fast, and yes, they were repeating their dialogue too much, but they felt like very human characters.
Yeah, I think, I'm being me about it, but I do think there was genuine care and brotherhood between the two of them. And it's funny, when Casey threatened to beat the shit out of Dan for telling Natalie about Sally sleeping with Gordon, and Casey knowing about it for months on end and not telling Dana, despite their friendship, which is a big reason why Dana got hurt. When Casey says, "I'm going to kick your ass," like, there's a part of me that's like, there's a part of me that's like, you Stretch, fucking, whose ass are you kicking? But I also think Bill Goldberg is a great wrestler, so don't listen to me. But there was a palpable tension in the air where it's like, he's a professional and an adult and emotionally intelligent somewhat. He's not really going to lay hands on this guy, but that tension was still very present. That's a hell of an acting job.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on Dan and Casey and their torrid love affair, Jesse?
Best moment that I think that they had was the discussion they had behind the desk, where Dan was upset, I think, about an anniversary that Casey may have forgot. And then we find out that Casey had the opportunity to, was it Conan?
It's a Letterman show.
Letterman show. And he decided not to do it. He decided to stick around with Dan and do the show. I mean, there was a real sense of friendship between the two, a good friendship. They were.
The subtext of that, I think that's the decision that finally torches his marriage.
Yes, there was a lot of fallout because of it. Because Dan asked him like straight up. He's like, "Is that what led to, the divorce?" And it may have been, but it was a choice that he made because he wanted to, spend time with his friend. And he also felt he did what wouldn't be good enough for Letterman. But I think there's a lot more of like, I would rather stick with, somebody that I know would be loyal to me as well. I'd be loyal to them. They're my best friend. Let's go ahead and do a show and we'll make it successful. So that moment stuck out to me as probably one of the better examples of what good friends these two guys are.
I like Josh Malina. I really do. I thought he was actually great on The West Wing. I think he has great elocution and delivery. He is to Sorkin what Anthony Michael Hall is to John Hughes. He is that man's favorite boy. Yep. And he gives him pages and pages and pages of dialogue. You think I'm a little verbose? Holy cow, the shit they have Joshua Malina saying. Every time he went to explain something, I'm like, buckle in. This is going to go a few minutes. Him, like I'm not obtuse. I get the subtext a lot of times of what's going on with him. That him trying to figure out why a boat disappeared during a race is his way of processing the fact that his father was cheating on his mom for the entire length and breadth of his life. And that's a little hard to deal with. If you've never been challenged in that kind of a way, hearing it for the first time in your 20s is a bit rough.
Can we all agree that he on the spectrum? Like, I feel like, he definitely was able to understand and deliver stats like you wouldn't believe. But as far as like social interaction goes, there was a lot lacking there. But anyway, go ahead. I interrupted you.
Well, I'm just pointing out that Joshua Malina, clearly Sorkin likes this guy, and and I'm wondering how much of Sorkin is projecting himself through Josh Malina's performance and the reason why he gets so much dialogue, because really that's who Sorkin wants to be. Sorkin wants to be the character of Josh Malina on in front of the camera is my interpretation of it. But I like the Josh Malina character. He just has he just has so many long fucking, it's like 10 minutes ago I was complaining there's not enough sports in Sports Night, except for everything John Malina says as he goes into 20-minute diatribes about the minutia of cricket.
Yeah. And I think you're onto something about Sorkin seeing himself through that character, because he is in many ways the smartest person in the room.
Yeah,
he knows facts, details, minutia about things that nobody else.
He's the smartest person in the room, but he doesn't always get the floor.
Yeah,
he is overtaken by people who don't know as much, or maybe not as talented, but he has to still know his place. God, that's got to eat someone like Sorkin alive.
Yeah, and
being forced to put a laugh track in his show.
Right, but when he's trying to explain who Thespis is, you can see the smugness when things are going wrong. Not that he wants them to go wrong, but it's proving him right. And at the same time, he's able to deliver these very raw moments. We touched on the one with the hunting episode. You mentioned the one where the boat disappears, and it's the connection with his dad. But also the vast insecurity of someone so intelligent. I can't donate blood. I would like to, but I can't.
Man, he went the whole episode telling everybody about that. Nobody cared.
Nobody's bringing it up.
But he's so desperate for that acknowledgement and validation.
Yeah, but there's that embarrassment that he's not doing it. There's the desire to do something, but he can't conquer his own fears to do it. And there's him talking himself through why he can't do it. So yeah, I would say in a lot of ways, his character is our lens into the mind of Sorkin and how Sorkin sees himself. But he handles, for all of the verbose dialogue that he's given, he handles it very, very well.
All right. Last thing I want to talk about, and then I'll throw it to you guys for your own last licks and burning desires, is Natalie. We talked a little bit about the couple of episodes that deal with her sexual harassment, assault, whatever happened. I do like what she says about, like, I can choose to talk about this, but I'm risking being the laughing stock. Like, I won't overtly be blackballed, but I don't have to be for my career to stall and hit the wall. And I like what I do. I do it well. I'm not going to allow myself to be punished because of good intentions. And, they end up doing it anyway, because this is a Sorkin world where wish fulfillment is God's law. But I at least like that she said it. It was realistic.
Yeah.
She's a cute lady. She's a fun character. Her not letting Joshua Malina break up with her because he would like to, mourn the death of the admiration of his father. And she's just like, I don't accept that. Take all the time that you need, do what you need to do. But I don't accept that you're breaking up with me, you idiot. Like, I wasn't convinced she was as in love with him until then. And then I was. Then they sold me on it. I also didn't see this. This relationship just felt like, you're looking around a locker room. Who's not paired up for tonight's Raw? And then when they threw the two of them together, like, oh my God, we made magic. I can't believe Billy Gunn and the Road Dogg actually worked out. So that's how it kind of felt to me. Her relationship with Dana is kind of like kid sister, older sister, that I thought worked well. The little bit of time that they give to Natalie where she gets to be in charge, I think is fun TV. Overall, I like her character. I like her. Her and Joshua Malina also have a lot of good sexual tension. They have that good nerdy girl next door, average person, relatable couple sexual tension that I think adds an element to the show that is positive. Your thoughts on Natalie, Gavin?
Likable, and I think that was the reason she was there.
Mm-hmm.
She does have that inherent sweetness to her character. She's tiny, and she's the plucky underdog. She wants to be the Lois Lane, but she's not yet. Anyway, that's her goal. She's working towards that. And I think when you've got two likable, for lack of a better term, underdog character. Seeing them get together and be the support for one another and the catalyst for their character growth makes for good television. It would have been, I'm not sure the word that I want to use. It would not have felt authentic if her love interest on the show had been Dan or Casey.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I'll agree with that.
It would not have felt authentic in any way. Could they have brought someone in from outside of the work group to be that love interest? Sure, they did it with Dana, bringing in Ted McGinley. But I think those two play off of each other well because they're such similar types of characters. He's much smarter than she is intellectually. She provides the social balance that he does not have. And so they work well together. They're both likable. They're both underdogs, and it makes for a good dynamic.
I have to say, Jesse, before you weigh in on Natalie, it's also nice to see and kind of, anachronistic almost. Nobody in the show is intellectually or emotionally unintelligent. Everyone's an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Also, and I thought this was an odd thing, and you can kind of comment on this too, as well as the Natalie stuff. There's no villain in this show. There's no Michael Scott.
Yeah. About the closest you get is Ted McGinley. I mean, that's about the closest you get.
Except that I can see his point of view a lot.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's as close as you're going to get. And I don't think there's anybody else that's even, on that level at all. So,
I mean, maybe Rebecca for going back to her abusive husband, but even then, women can't live with them, can't hand them a rock.
Shouldn't.
Does your wife listen to our show, Gavin? Am I getting you in trouble? Okay, good. Anyway, I think my girlfriend just yelled at me. But your thoughts on Natalie and the fact that there's like no villain in this show at all? It's like the opposite of something like The Office.
Yeah, I mean, and that again kind of fits to the tone of what they're trying to go for, this realistic sitcom drama. And they lean more towards, okay, is having a villain in this going to make it more real? No, it's the social issues, it's the relationship issues that are the goal here. They're the things we got to try to work through that this show is meant for. So yeah, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with them not having a villain. I don't think that's needed at all. That's again another thing that I believe makes this show good. We don't need a villain to make the show watchable. As far as Natalie goes, Sabrina Lloyd, loved her since Sliders. I don't know what else she's been in. I know she's been in a few other things since, the 90s, but seeing her on here, I kind of always wondered what she went from or what she went to after Sliders. As far as Natalie, the character goes, I had some issues, especially with the relationship that she had with Jeremy. I'm fine with it. And I think you guys made some great points as to, the justification is why these two are together and why it works. It felt a little immature to me. I mean, these are people in their 20s, trying to make their way through life, and they found each other. But there's a little bit of immaturity, I think, in their relationship. And I can't wait to watch these two in season 2 and how things kind of go forward, with them together. I tolerated everything there that they put. So it's not like I was like, this is the best, this is the best part of the show for sure. It was more like, okay, here we go. These two again. And it was the silliness of them. You mentioned the breakup. That was pretty funny. But then again, I was sitting there going like, these two guys, they need each other and they need some help as well. So hopefully at some point, things will get better for them. But yeah, it's an underdeveloped relationship that I can't wait to watch as it continues and see how it progresses.
All right, Gavin, is there anything else about the show? Anything that you're passionate about that we haven't talked about? Any burning desires?
I don't think so. I think we've hit pretty much everything. A lot of my favorite shows came to premature ends. I have long felt like I was a curse for anything that aired on HBO because if I liked it, it didn't last. Lucky Louie, Carnival, Deadwood. I was the kiss of death. Community had to fight for its life every season. And then you have Sports Night. These are some of my favorite shows of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's a bittersweetness to a show like this, getting such a short run. There's so much good to be found, warts and all. It's also from a better era of television. Don't get me wrong. I love the shows that we got through the prestige era of television. Mad Men, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, Justified. Things like that are tremendous.
Everything David Simon.
They are wonderful television shows. But I miss when a television season was 23 episodes of television. And if that means we get 6 filler episodes in a season, so be it. I'll take it. It was a better time. I think as an
really quick, I saw the episode count on this and immediately went, fucking Gavin, what does he think? All I do is sit around and watch TV. I have a job. 23 episodes. My God, I'll be here for 6 weeks. Like, got it done in like 2.5 days.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Not that bad.
So, it's a better era of television for me. There's a lot of nostalgia there. And I think one of the things that I noticed while watching it, it was about 6 or 7 episodes in. There's so much going on. The show is so busy that you don't even realize they're not looking at smartphones. Mm-hmm. You don't realize that they're not in a technology-dominated world.
Yeah, one of these women had a fucking Palm Pilot.
Yeah. Everything that they're doing feels so natural and it stays so busy that even though it is from multiple generations removed, it still feels relevant. It's still watchable. You don't feel like you're watching dinosaurs. I think it's a wonderful introduction to Aaron Sorkin. If you have any interest in the things that he's wrote and the shows that he's produced, again, we can't say enough about the cast. Peter Krause, Robert Guillaume, Josh Charles, Felicity Huffman, Brenda Strong, Sabrina Lloyd, Joshua Malina. I mean, it's just one name after another of tremendous television actors. It's one of the first things I recommend if somebody says, hey, I'm looking for a show to watch. Have you seen Sports Night? You can blow through it in a few days because the episodes are short, but it's a good watch. It holds up well, and I'm glad that you took the time to watch it. Hope you enjoyed it.
I did. Or we definitely would not be here. Or no, we would be here anyway because I'm a slave to the schedule. But I would have told you up front that Gavin, you motherfucker. Jesse, same to you.
Yeah, I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad we're getting in. We're going to do season 2 there next month, right? So yep. I'm excited to jump into that. This is a fun series to watch after watching West Wing to kind of see like where Sorkin's getting his footing, and also kind of see like what worked and what didn't work. Like you start to understand like, okay, this didn't work in some aspects, and kind of watch the show evolve, because when we go from the pilot to the finale, you do see a show that evolves and understands, like it starts to understand like what its place is. How do we deliver the message that we want to, along with the humor that we want to? And I enjoyed what we got. I had some moments here that I know I told you guys already hit on some of them, but I definitely got to at least bring up the one where, oh my goodness, Dana decides to thaw her turkey by using the lights. Great moment when the turkey drops down. I was just waiting for that to happen. Episode 11, Donna Moss shows up.
Aaron Sorkin certainly likes a few different actors.
Right.
I'm actually surprised more people didn't follow him into the West Wing.
Okay, Bobby Bernstein. We've got to talk about Dan and Bobby Bernstein, or Roberta. And how much, this is obviously Lisa Edelstein, who I know more as Cuddy from House. That whole bit where he slept with her, but he doesn't remember her at all. I was really, really, really hoping that it would just continue throughout the whole season. Like he would have to do a show with her every once in a while, and then she would give him a hard time about it, and he wouldn't be able to figure it out. That gets wrapped up, I think, in like the second time she shows up, second or third time. And he finds out that he actually did sleep with her. Mrs. Santos, you already talked about Terry Polo Rebecca showing up here, which was, she was, again, another person that we know from West Wing. And then we also get to see one of Bartlett's daughters, I think in the finale or maybe it's the second to last episode. I can't remember.
Oh, she's the son's nanny.
She's the son's nanny. And so, yeah, there's a lot of West Wing adjacent people that kind of like show up here in this show. It's filled with a lot of heartfelt moments, and it's filled with a lot of messages too. There's definitely some messages that I think are delivered well. Gavin, you mentioned about how your politics and Sorkin's politics don't mesh, but there's a lot of situations where when somebody has a point of view and they handle it with a deft hand, it's done well. You just like you said, you enjoy at least their presentation of their side of things, and that means a lot. And I think that's that's something that many episodes this season had. So but yeah, I think I can't wait to get into season 2. It'll be fun.
Jesse, I know you don't leave the house, so this doesn't affect you nearly as much, but you watched 900 hours of television to cover this week. You had to watch White House Plumbers, Stranger Things season 5, and Sports Night. And I have to ask you, the viewers want to know.
Orbis too while I was at it.
Oh, very, very good. You get to watch TV for fun. How nice of you. I mean, it must be nice to enjoy television with your spouses. My question to you is, like, does Mindy ever turn to you and be like, is there anything else we could possibly fucking do? Like, how much TV for this guy do you have to watch?
No, dude, I'm sitting down here preparing for podcasts. She's binging Landman. So she's, I mean, it's not like, I've heard it's really good. She says it's great. But so we're 2 peas in the pod, Mark. She's probably got more TV than I do. I can't remember if I told you this. I think I did. I took all of our TV watching and threw it into Notebook LM for the year of 2025. It is absurd. So we'll just leave it at that. But it was an interesting breakdown.
You have to tell me the next time I make you watch something and she watches it with you and she's like, you're not allowed to be friends with Mark again. That's like my favorite thing.
That's frequent. That's frequent.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the end of our review of Sports Night. As I mentioned, Jesse and I watched White House Plumbers. Gavin, if you haven't seen it yet, it's 5 episodes on HBO. Came out a couple of years ago. It's got Justin Theroux and Woody Harrelson as 2 operatives, former CIA and FBI, who do dirty work for the Nixon administration, and they are responsible for the Watergate break-in. We enjoyed it. I raved about it. It's worth a watch. Speaking of things worth a watch, myself and Robert Winfrey did a triple feature of Oscar Best Picture possibilities. Begonia from Yorgos Lanthimos, Maudie Supremes from Josh Safdie, and Hamnet from everyone's favorite Marvel director extraordinaire and former Oscar winner in her own right, Chloe Zhao. So listen to me and Robert wax snobby on triple feature. Yesterday, speaking of snobs, Alexis Hana and her boy Friday, Jesse Starcher, they did Stranger Things season 5. Fucking hell. And then tomorrow, myself and Jason will be starting off Black History Month early here on the Rattlegion Broadcasting Network. We will be doing an on trial for a Spike Lee joint that did not make it into the Spike Lee focus a few years ago because Jason is annoying. So we will be reviewing one of my favorite movies of all time, Bamboozled. Have you ever seen Bamboozled, Gavin? I know you're a connoisseur of film and art.
I have not seen Bamboozled.
You should make the wife and the child watch Bamboozled. It is, it's part of the National Film Registry in the Library of Congress. I'll have you know.
Jesse says no.
Jesse ain't got no soul. No, I love Bamboozled. I have no soul or shadow. I think Bamboozled is just a hoot. I watched it with my children, and only one of them fell asleep. It was fantastic. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow night. Sunday. Jesse and I are going to do an on-trial civil court edition. We are comparing the Michael Douglas, Danny DeVito, Sybil Shepherd, I believe it was, iteration of War of the Roses to the Doctor Strange. What's his name?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch iteration just called The Roses, based on the War of the Roses. We will compare and contrast them this Sunday. Damn You Hollywood is back on Monday, Martin Luther King Day. We'll be talking 28 years later, the Bone Temple. Alexis is threatening to host a show called Welcome to Derry on Tuesday. Nothing on Wednesday, and then a week from tomorrow, myself and Shay will be back doing some musicals. We're going to look at Rock of Ages, Tommy from The Who, and Jesus Christ Superstar. Jesse, don't know what you are. Jesus Christ. You know that one, Gavin? You sing that one?
I do.
Yeah?
I know 2 of the 3.
Wonderful. Gavin, do you do any podcasting besides what I drag you out of the closet for?
Nope.
Fantastic. Jesse, what do you got going on?
It's Kathleen Turner, not Sybil Shepherd.
They're the same person.
Kathleen Turner
Turner, Sybil Shepherd, Glenn Close, all the same fucking lady.
Made an appearance in as Dita Beard in the White House Plumbers, and we had no idea it was her. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'll keep it short and sweet here. Go check out the Source Material Comics podcast feed. We've got all sorts of fun shows on there. Me and Mark get together and talk about comics of any era. And then we also do a 90s comic book podcast on there. You can check that out. We have a good time. And let's rock and roll.
All right, for Gavin Napier and Jesse Starcher, I'm Sir Coughs a lot. Be well, be safe, and behave.